Hello, welcome to Factorio Production Scrap. At the end of the last stream, we discovered that the blue circuits we set up were not going to be anywhere near enough, even though it looks like they might be near enough for the rocket control units. That's because, and they're backed up so much because I spent a little bit of time in between the streams doing a little bit of work. We already know that because blue circuits isn't enough, we're going to drain a lot of extra red circuits, so I added in another column of red circuits. This array here, which is upgraded now to Assembly Machines 3, should be able to provide one full yellow belt of red circuits. That is it. So we have some work to do. I could upgrade all of this to red belts, and then I could double this length, and it would be one full red belt. However, it's not going to do us a whole lot of good. That's because we don't have enough supplies coming in of things like green circuits and plastic. I expanded the plastic out, so instead of just having one yellow belt array worth here, we now have two red belt arrays, so we're producing plenty of plastic for now. We also are producing two full red belts of green circuits. In between the streams, I set up the rest of the smelting needed to make it expanded to 4 full red belts, additional 3 copper arrays and 2 iron arrays, and I did that by setting up some train stations. As you can see right now, I'm not using all the train stations, but I wanted to make sure I had enough to unload enough for 6 belts worth of iron, or worth of copper, and 4 belts worth of iron, so I've set up enough stations to handle that. And where I'm getting that from is over here at these 2 mining arrays. That apparently didn't get quite finished. I'll have to pay them another visit, but they're producing enough now that I'm not horribly worried about it. I can pay them another visit and get some more supplies out of them later. Let's see, the other thing I found is that the stone is starving. Never think that stone is going to be the thing that starves your base the most, but apparently it is. So I did add some emergency stone here briefly, or a few minutes ago, but it's not going to last very long. So what I'll probably do is set up another station down here and mine this 2 million and bring it up here somewhere. Maybe I'll set up another station like right here to unload it into. That might work. I kind of cramped myself in a little bit here for these, but I think I'd rather have one station that handles green circuits, one station that handles metal ores for the bus, and then maybe another station that handles things like coal and stone for the bus out here. So it'll be fine to handle that. So I'll do that before the next stream. But today we need to deal with a couple of things. I noticed this was severely backed up between the last stream and this one, to the point where these machines are running all the time and they're barely keeping this under full pressure. What I would like to do is I would like to cut off everything from here and move this solid fuel making array down and then put another one of these in here. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to cut these off here. The reason I'm cutting them off is just because I don't want to have to circulate all of this scrap around. I'd just rather let it back up. Let's wait for this thing to finish up. Which way is that? And welcome, by the way. Having separate train stations for different products, yeah. I've tried it a few different ways. Eventually, if I keep the bus, I eventually will, do off-site smelting, beacon setups and stuff like that, and then get rid of the smelters here, and then usually I'll put in like a big train station, kind of with parallel train stations like this, and then basically being a big one. But at that point you have you know, one station for green circuits. You don't have to have this much iron and copper coming in. And so you have like one station for each product, maybe 2 for iron or something like that. But because you have so few different products here on the bus, you don't need as many stations. So at that point, I might do one big station, but usually by that point, I've long since given up on the base and want to start a new one anyway. So then the next thing that I wanted, oh, we're gonna get back to this now. Yeah, don't get me distracted. ADD is strong with this one. Okay, so let's take this. I don't know how or exactly. I think maybe just right here would be fine. We just right, or we can even move that power pole. Let's do it right here. And I'll just put this power pole in here instead. And then we'll have to change this belt a little bit. I know, you don't like having... Okay, we're just going to do that. A little sneaky. Okay. And we'll let the base bots handle that because they can handle it now. What's your job? Making things difficult? Because that's my job too. Output, priority to the left. The scrap pieces... I guess I didn't need red splitters there. Everything else is red. And you are fine probably right there. I might end up moving it down just a hair. And then we need to make a copy of this. I suppose I can let this flow through now, again. This new smelting array setup that we did the last time, yeah, yes it is working out pretty well. We're just not using enough iron at this point. I think largely because not as much iron is used by the higher level materials. I may end up having to take these belts back this way and shove them in here someplace so that they get used by, say, the mall and red, green, and gray science. Blue science too? Yeah, blue science too. So I may just have to do that with these. The other reason could be is that we're just not producing enough science, or not using enough science because we're not producing enough purple science because we don't have enough stone coming in. So that might resolve itself with the more stone. I'm not positive. But worst case, if they make it around that, if they make it past both of these arrays, and they make it around this bend, which they're going to make it past both these arrays because they're all both backed up almost completely now. But if they make it past there, and they come around the bend, they'll get smelted in here. So it's not critical, but I'd like to resolve it if I can. Okay, so we're gonna copy. I'm not gonna copy that pipe. I'm gonna copy this here all the way to there. Yeah, I need to move. Well, I could do this way. Is that gonna buy me enough space though? The alternative is to really radically adjust where that might buy me enough. The other way. But of course... See, is that just enough room? There's more than enough room. Excellent. So I actually could put this... No, that's still going to be sharing. So I'd have to go all the way down. I'd have to go down 2, and there's not enough room here to put this rubber port in. I think sharing this pipe will probably be fine. We'll find out pretty soon if it's not. Move these down, hopefully. Yes. And then I can bring in this pipe here. Okay, and then this goes into this belt. Needs to get bypassed. And this belt comes in like this. This needs to go under. And then this goes in here. Again, that. And I think that works the same. Let's see how that works in processing these fluids. Well, either something is messed up or they just immediately finished it and tore through all of it. We have a lot of water now in the system, maybe too much water. We have to drain some of it. Where's all the fluid? That seems weird. Because there was just way too much wastewater here a minute ago, and now it's all gone. It seems suspicious. These aren't going to work the way they are. That could be part of my problem. But probably not. Alright, why does that feel wrong? And I also placed it wrong. But it's okay. I don't see anything wrong with it, but it looks like it's all gone, but there's not really any water or sulfuric acid to account for it. At least it doesn't feel like there's enough. So the circuits down here are way backed up, or they were way backed up. Looks like they're not anymore. Looks like they are... I guess maybe it just got cut up when I had the thing stopped. That could be. So the circuits are processing better now. Still not great. What's all this? Is this all just generic scrap here? Yeah. But that stuff's not getting picked up properly because I didn't do the shifters. Lefts. That was my fault right there. Okay. Now that should help make sure we get as much of that garbage into these belts, and that'll clear this stuff up really good. It'll just take it a circle before it gets cleaned up well. I want to wait here and make sure this is working the way that I am expecting it to. Looks like we might be using a little bit more iron now. Is good. Oh, I'm injecting this just before gray science, so it should be using it primarily. I did change these to be insert priority as well as output, or input priority as well as output priority, so that they use the supplies coming from these two belts effectively first, because they're getting prioritized in here onto the first two belts. And then they're getting prioritized as what gets used first, going into these these two assemblies here. And this one here. And basically all of these. We're just really still short on... We're making some decent rails now. But not enough. Because they're running out here before they get to the end. So it's better, but it's still not great. Blue Circuits is still struggling to keep up with basically no demand. Right now, we're just backing up the belt that goes to the mall. Oh, there is a demand here in the mall. Because we're making supplies for our armor that I did start to make here. Ooh, we don't need 15 of those. All right, we need to fix that because we definitely do not need 15. Oh, the other thing that I did was I switched this to explosives now so we can get the explosives off of this line because I found out where all those beacons were coming from. They were coming from the mall. It turns out I had misplaced or misfiltered the filter inserters on the beacon assembly. So the beacons were coming out onto the scrap belt and the scrap was going into the provider chest for the beacons, which was awesome, especially because now we have 457 beacons in the logistics network. So if we did decide to do some beacon smelting, something fancy, we could. But I don't know that we're going to. See, we only need like 3 of these. So you can stop, hopefully. Oh, because I need to make this a provider chest. Provider. Okay. Oh, this one too, although it doesn't really matter. You should be turned off now. You are. Good. I guess I can take a couple of these because we made a lot. And you can just stop. Let's let somebody else get some of the fun here. I need to take a couple of these batteries for my... No, put them up here. For my suit, but we don't need very many. Good. Now some of them are able to get through. We had this thing was hogging all of the. Let me take a couple out here and put them in here, so the thing stops making. And you can have some of these, and you can have some of these. Will you stop picking these up now? Yes. Okay. Good. I'd rather have it set up, just because I'd rather not force things incorrectly. Alright, so we have scrap hopefully handled now. So now we need to expand green circuits so that we can expand blue circuits. The easiest way to expand green circuits here is to set up a upgrader from blue machines to yellow machines. Actually, I'm going to do this whole area because it does have a few yellow belts left. I think the scrap belt is fine to upgrade as well. Actually, let's just do the whole scrap belt. It's probably just about time to upgrade some of these scrap belts. I've been putting it off or hoping I wouldn't have to, or however you want to categorize it, for a long time now. But I think probably from around here onward, it's time. At least these two going into dealing with all of this smelting scrap, because we're going to add a bunch more smelting scrap to this mess very soon. This one can go all the way down. Can go all the way down. Just take it past this first. Get about to there. And then to there. We'll do this piece and this piece. I guess I could do this whole thing. It doesn't really matter. I guess it wouldn't hurt. Make sure it all gets handled. We got some scrap in our inventory. We'll get rid of that. Stone. Suppose I could recycle some of the stone. I think there's a bunch of stone in my logistics storage, but that tiny bit of stone isn't really going to make a difference in the long run. Alrighty, so we need to tweak a few things here in order to get more copper and more iron into this mess. Excuse me. So the iron, I made it a bit too close here, this copper belt. So I need to turn this and get it out of the way. Because we need 2 belts of iron right here. And then a bunch of copper can come up here. 1, 2. Yeah. So maybe I'll turn this. It can come all the way up here and across. That way I can use that belt for other purposes. I'll do some spaghetti with this for now. I didn't hook these up yet because I knew that this was going to cause a mess. I was trying to avoid the mess. Do we not have enough copper coming in on these 3 belts? We do not. I may need to do some rebalancing out here to try and get all of this copper kind of evenly balanced onto 3 belts. Because some of them are not producing enough and some of them are producing too much. So they're a little bit messed up. But I might be able to do a little bit of rebalancing with these belts here and this belt here, kind of balancing those in. That can definitely be cleaned up. The other option is simply just to turn on this other station and put run all these belts to each copper smelter and just do a priority inserter on each of these smelters, or just do priority input priority on each of these splitters. Hey Sydney, welcome. You made it this time. No show tonight? Or is that coming on in a few minutes? So we'll go ahead and set these up. I should filter them before I forget. And then they will need to come in here. I really should do these this way instead of doing the crazy. Don't do the crazy, Wally. Okay, so this one's actually gonna turn and go down this other belt here. We'll deal with that in a minute. What are we? Oh, we're backed up. No, why are we backed up? Oh, because I didn't hook up the output belt yet, or the scrap belt yet. Unfortunately, I have to do all of these undergrounds with the concrete belt there because They're so much more expensive, but I can't get underground. These are just too close. Oop, forgot to bring this with me. Go. Take this under. So now I need to get... This is going to have to get brought back one. I hate this stuff. I think I'm just gonna have to spaghetti this in. So you need to not do that anymore for one. This needs to get cut. Goes this way. This goes this way. And then you need to come back one. That needs to come back a bit. Put down one more. And input priority from the right. Really? That was it? No. Okay. So my research finished. Go ahead and do the space science pack. And not much else, really. Almost done with all the basic sciences. What, spaghetti and all this in? Oh, I can handle the spaghetti. Spaghetti is real, but I can handle it. Okay, so I need to bring in some more copper. There needs to be 3 more belts coming through here. So I'll either need to underground them under these, which is probably the best place for them. I can expand this to get 1 more in up here. But that's it for that. Really. I don't know why I did these differently each time. I guess this is the smarter way to do it, is to bring it up here as far as I can get it. And then split it off. Because... Of course I can't do that. Because then I'm running 1 belt here instead of 2. I think this one I'm going to take under and just bring it around like this. I guess I could have... Didn't matter. We can also go right here. That. I could... Yeah, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Yeah, dogs will do that. They will tell you exactly what they want you to do at all times. Just like cats. They are the boss. They are in charge. Never deny it, or never think never think anything other, because they will rule you in the end. So I think I can do this like this, and then I'm just going to copy paste these. So I don't have to fiddle with each one. Every once in a while I think of something that will save me a little bit of time. Oh, are you puppy sitting? I left the other one behind. Nope, I don't want to do that. Grab this and take these out. I don't need to do that. Don't be crazy, Molly. There you go. Yes, autosave, thank you. Be very careful. Okay. So I need to get one of those belts into here. Like this, maybe. And take this out. This belt can go. Oh, this one can go. Alright, need to come back over here. Need to make my belt immunity equipment so that I can walk on these belts a little bit easier. Go like this, so now I can de-spaghettify that. Wait a minute, I saw scrap on that belt. Is that just one piece of scrap that got accidentally? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was just one that got stuck on the end. And then, okay, this one goes on the outside. Excellent. But I think I did this right. At least right enough. Back that up one. I'm gonna put another splitter in here. Do the same thing all the way down. I like to just make sure that these always get forced in so that I maximize the possible iron capable of being used here. Oh, yeah. It's fine. You're still upgrading machines. Okay. I will have to add a couple more arrays to this whole mess. To make it a full 4 belts of output. Good. Sorry, I'm not talking because I will miss one of these and it will get jacked up because I'm me. Okay, so these are still upgrading. We'll let the bots continue to handle that. I think the whole thing is well covered by the network. Yes, it is. Wow, ACL surgery, that's pretty crazy. Oh, we need to shift the iron as well. So I think I'll shift the iron at the same place, basically at each crossing of, let's see, these need to go, no. These need to go to my right, or my left, machine right, or array right. And I think I'll just shift them at each smelting array, or at each, whatever this is called, scrap belt, just to make sure that everything is kind of consistent. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of this array specifically, because it's still using that same kind of tried and true compact design, but being able to fit in all of the scrap management, I think is pretty nice to be able to accomplish. And then the way the scrap works is nice too because, oops, that would have been bad, is because the only belts that have stuff on one side is the very first one and the very last one, and they're on opposite sides. So this entire output belt of scrap is balanced. Yeah, you and Lana both like the big scrap circle here, which we always need to keep an eye on how this is doing. So it looks like, for the most part, most of our circuits are getting picked up. Some of them are not. Yeah, we're still... I may need to expand these a bit more. The problem is, we just don't have enough... We don't have enough output speed. I may end up having to upgrade these to red belts. They're just not able to handle... Because I want all this stuff on the outer... Actually, I could probably put some of it on the third belt, or the second belt, I should say. Because almost everything should have been shoved into the inside. Why is so much of this not getting shoved in there? Is it because it's conflicting? No. Oh, there's circuits crammed in here. That's why. Alright, I think I know how to deal with that. Okay, so now we are somewhat capable of making 4 belts of green circuits. For the first time, I don't think I need a 4-belt balancer here. I think I just had that because I don't know what I was thinking. I was probably going to do a 4 to 4 balancer there, and then I remembered we don't actually need to balance anymore. All we need to do is keep shifting. Which is really nice because balancers are kind of a waste otherwise. Well, I guess all the splitting still is using the same amount of, probably more, really, splitters. All the shifting, I should say. But I don't think we really need to do it anymore. Let me change this one into a red one. Maybe I can go a bit longer. Yeah, let's do that. That way I don't have to do so much shenanigans right here. I'm going to take this and do this the easy way. Be a map mode. Ah, don't do that. So much for the easy way. Oh, jeez. Hitting the wrong keys. Okay. Let's see how far we can go now. Hopefully we can go all the way down to the end. The only thing I still feel like I have to do is lane balancing, but that's probably because I'm too bad at doing the, pulling the stuff off a differing side so that it balances itself, kind of. But I do that. I have that squiggly lane balancer that I had in... I never put it back in the scrap recycling area. All right, just walk on the belt so you can get there faster. Yeah, it's pulling in a little bit more iron there now, but I probably will end up having to move that back. I did do the math. And if with all of the science that I want to make with this, the maximum amount of science that I want to make with this base before we finish, we call it finished. I will need like 7 or 8 belts of iron for the main bus. So we definitely, and that's not counting them all. So we definitely will need a lot of iron. Just as to where it's being used. Most of it's being used in the beginning, I think. And we haven't maxed out the science yet either. We're still only using blue machines. Oh, I didn't pick up too many green circuits with that vanity. Find a belt to run on here. Blue circuits looks good. Yeah, that's why I have it on that separate bus or whatever you want to call it down there. That way it's completely separate, dedicated. I did have it shared at the very beginning of the base, but I do like to keep it separate. That way I'm not confused as to how much iron I need, how much copper I need for each purpose. Oh yeah, that was definitely needed to upgrade these to red belts. That's kind of a mess, or that would be kind of a mess if I hadn't. So let's look at the math here. Now we want, now we want 4. Guess I could have done it this way too. 4 red belts. And that means we need 48 and 72. Each array is 10. 48 and 72 is 120, so we need 12 arrays. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We only need 2 more arrays. That's handy. Grab a copy of not that bottom one, because that one is special. Let's also not grab the second from the bottom one, because it's also a little bit special. Let's do right here. 1 and 2. And then I can actually trim these belts here, here. Trim those in a second. I want to do both sides here first. Here. Okay, and then the iron gets trimmed after here to there. And there. Yell at me if I'm doing this wrong. And all of this here comes out. Except for you. Although that could really be a regular belt now. How many, I wonder how many wooden power bolts we still have in the inventory. Yeah, 4 red belts of greens is a glorious sight to see. However, when I did the math, I actually will need 5 red belts of greens in order to accomplish the level of science I want to accomplish. So what I'll probably do at that point is do another small green circuit array over here someplace. We have all of this space here. Train in some iron and copper ore into here. Do a green circuit Mark II. Shove it in up here someplace. And that'll be good. I know I'll also need another belt or 2 of copper. 4 is not going to be enough. So I'll do the same thing here. Because most of those green, or a good chunk of those green circuits are going to this part of the base right here. Getting sucked in by blue circuits. And then a good chunk of the copper is actually going to go into the what are those called? Low density structures for the rocket itself. So by the time we get to that part though, this will be a pretty good looking base. If I end up going that far, that's just kind of, like I said before, my sort of stretch goal. Once I launch a rocket, I tend to get a little bit bored. But if we have a goal, especially with being on stream here, it's a little bit more of a driving force for me. Alright, so let's leave this green circuits behind. Let's leave the... Hopefully we can leave the scraps recycling behind a little bit. We are at least draining all of the copper and all of the iron off of these 4 belts before they get this far. So that's good. The only things I would love to get rid of the rest of these green circuits, or these scrap circuits, but I think that's going to take upgrading this whole section to red belts, as well as all of the belts probably from about here up to, well, really up to the end. So at that point, most of the loop is red belts. I guess we could assign the base to get cracking on that while we go and do some other stuff here. That wouldn't be a bad plan. So let's see, base. just do here like this. And then this. Thank you, Mr. Autosave. Look at him go. Look at him go. I'm not necessarily worried about the upgrading the whole thing. They would be fine if I did, but that way the kind of bots have some priority, so they upgrade the stuff that I really want upgraded before they move on to other things. And then once this is done here, I can expand these out a little bit more and actually make it worthwhile processing here. I think if I do, if I do this recipe, and I want at most 15 or 30 combined of these products here. Do a yellow belt of that. Nope, we can't do that much. Because these produce two copper and 1, so we need 10 of these. That'll produce at most 30. That means we need 20 of these machines in each one of those rows, each one of those arrays. And that'll make exactly 1 red belt worth of scrap plates and process 2/3 of a yellow belt of circuits. So I really didn't need to upgrade these, but who cares? So I definitely need to expand these out. Okay. But we'll let them run for now. They're fine. Hey, Peps. The construction site mod? No, I guess I could have added it in since I haven't done that part yet. I suppose if you bribed me good enough, I could add it in before I actually get to working on the rocket itself. But I didn't put it in here because I was already working on this when you and I talked about it. But I do take bribes. I'm not ashamed to say that I do take bribes. I mean, not for really important things, but you know, for less important things like Factorio games. I'll take a bribe. Okay, so in order to handle more blue circuits than this, let's go back to the blue circuits. I would like to make, well, more than this. If we upgraded these to reds, that would be 30 plus 15, that's 45. If one takes 20, then that's 2.25. 2.25? Yes. So that would make 2.25 blue circuits per second. That's at least something. In order to do that, we need 30 blue machines. Or while we're at it, why don't we just make these 18 yellow machines? So let's do this. Get this upgraded. That's fine. This needs to be upgraded though, right here. Yeah, I was gonna put it in the next base, but if I didn't look at it that hard to know if it would do any sort of cause any sort of problem with this base. If you don't think it will, then I'm willing to add it in here. We need to do a priority output on that guy. Because it does look interesting to me. So I am willing to add it in. Am I upgrading the right? I really don't need to upgrade the output belt here, but oh well. And that doesn't need to be upgraded at all. Because it's going into a side load anyway. We're only going to use 15. I'm going to use a yellow belt's worth. At most. And not even that. We're only using 4.5. That's fine. This is not... What am I... Oh, I know what it is. I see it. Right there. Thank you. And this one right there. Thank you. Okay. So now we are taking an entire belt and a half, red belt and a half, into blue circuits. We need 18. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 18. Cut these off up here. The base bots must have signed off on those. Okay, well, I'll add it in between now and the next stream, and I can kind of test it a little, make sure that it doesn't have a coronary. But yeah, the rocket itself, well, that's the thing to check. Does the rocket itself produce any... I have to do it here. The rocket itself does produce scrap. The rocket components, which is going to be interesting. Oh, no, it doesn't. Never mind. No, it doesn't. That's these that are producing scrap. So I think it should be able to be added. That'll definitely extend the rocket a little bit further than I was originally intending. That'll give me a chance to upgrade and add more materials to the base, I guess, right? Upgrade all these machines to yellow all over the place. Everything. And we must be short on yellow machines still. Which doesn't surprise me, because... Where's our mall? There it is. Because these just take so long to make. And I really should steal some... Let's do that. Let's steal some... level 1 speed modules. How many is that? 20? That's way more than enough. Run back to the mall and speed up those speed module makers. Yeah, there's a couple of things that are missing scrap, that it's kind of weird that they're missing scrap. I would have liked for oil to produce something waste, and I would have liked for uranium processing, nuclear fuel to make some sort of waste, and none of that seems to produce any sort of waste when I was looking at the mod itself. So there are a couple of sort of gaps in this that I'm not... I shouldn't say I'm not happy with, but that I'm surprised by. Yeah, something. Yeah, cracking, that's a really good idea, is for cracking to produce 2 outputs. One is the fuel that you wanted, and the other one is wastewater, or some sort of an output here that isn't being produced that I feel like it should be. Even like solid fuel from oil, like, should produce something. Even if it's just that generic scrap that we're dealing with down here, that we're just dumping into more solid fuel. Like, even that. And then you just have to say, okay, it was a secondary process that, okay, well, making the solid fuel produces some waste, and then you have to process that waste to make more solid fuel out of it. I don't know. It just seems like it's shorted somehow for some reason. And I don't... Oh, look at that. Why is that? Oh, I missed a power pole? The base missed a power pole. Is there not coverage here? There might not be Roboport coverage here. Put a Roboport in right about there. Unless I'm out of power poles. No, I got plenty. There's plenty. There's 8. Let's go dump some more wood and or copper into this mess and see what we can get as far as copper. I see copper there. Alright. There we go. Make some more wooden power poles. But then when I was looking at the uranium processing, there's no waste product there. There's no waste product in making the fuel cells. There's no waste product in... That's funny. They're using the recipe for solid fuel from scrap as the default for making the... Oh, rocket fuel produces waste solid fuel. All right, well, there is one then there. But the rocket, the nuclear field doesn't produce any waste. So like they didn't touch the nuclear component at all. They just touched like the kind of the base part of the game. So that would be an interesting tweak to this mod, is to have those couple of things also producing waste. Then I think it would make it a little bit more well-rounded of a mod. But I like the concept of this mod, and I think it's something that they should include. It's like maybe like after you've beaten the game, you have like a choice of different, I don't know, like scenarios, I guess, that the devs integrate into the game. Like something like this would be a really good idea for them to do, I think. Just integrate something like this into the game as like an advanced mode or a challenge mode it's kind of added in later, or available later, I should say. I think that would be a much better thing to do. Alright, so we have to deal with this scrap belt that I didn't deal with the last time. Because I don't know why. One of the things I did while we were while I was working on sort of the miscellaneous stuff with this base is I sort of set up some temporary arrays and built some and made the stuff I needed to have to make the Power Armor Mark II, the Speed Module tool and Efficiency Module tools. I did set up a temporary array to make those, and ended up stealing some of these speed modules here in order to accomplish that. Those can go back in there and get fed into these. So these are already backed up here pretty well. I think I can just do... Wow, they produce a lot of scrap. Look at how much scrap is in there. Holy cow. Alright, so output priority, right, rocket control, unit things. And then that can go toward the scrap bus, and this can continue on toward the rocket. Of course I did. Look at that. Do you expect anything less? We're going to need to have more steel before too long as well. And I think I'll just accomplish that by upgrading to red belts. Yeah, to red belts and steel furnaces throughout this whole thing. That'll probably produce enough steel. I have the math done in the Kirk McDonald calculator how much steel we actually need for this thing. 1.2 red belts. So that won't quite be enough steel, because that'll just be one red belt. But we'll figure that out. Maybe we'll have another... Oh, I actually had space to make... Maybe I'll have to change my tracks here. I had space to shove this into another array. But I guess once I upgrade this to red belts, it won't be enough. Yeah, this won't be enough once I upgrade it to red belts. So, because it's going to use twice as much. So maybe I'll just change this splitter to only be 8 to 4. That'll be something we can deal with it another time. Okay, so we dealt with the rocket control units last time. To do these, they need 1.5 blue circuits per second. We're now making hopefully 2.25. And 7.5 green circuits and 7.5 red circuits. That makes enough for 1.5 science per second, which is what our goal is right now. Once we upgrade these machines to blue, it'll be a 2.5 science per second, and we'll obviously need a little bit more materials. So we're actually providing slightly too much, or twice again too much green and red circuits here, but who's counting? It'll just be belt storage. It's not a big deal. And we'll need it when we upgrade this anyways. We'll need almost twice as much, or we need, I guess, what is it? No, actually, it's more than twice as much. We're going to have to upgrade those to red belts, too, at that time. Alright, so, enough babbling on about that. We can do low-density structures. Like these blue machines. We need 40 of those, and so we need a red belt of copper, which will probably actually be 2 yellow belts of copper. And then a shared belt of plastic and steel, which will be fine with a yellow belt. And then when we upgrade this to yellow machines into 2.5 science per second, we'll just upgrade everything to red belts. And we'll be fine. Okay, so we'll do an array similar to one of these. It'll be 20 machines tall, but it'll have a belt in the middle. So we need a belt coming in of copper, and then we need a machine making low density structures, a belt coming in of plastic and steel, a belt going out, these all long enough, a belt going out of the low density structures, and then again machines making low density structures, and finally a copper belt, a copper belt coming in here. So that's 2 times 15 for copper, and then 1 times or half times 15 for plastic, and a half times 15 for steel. And then we need inserters. You go in, you go out, get out of the way, you go out, out, in. So we needed 40 of these, I forgot already. My memory is horrible. Yeah, 40 of those, so that's 4, 8, 12, 15, 20, and so that I don't have to count them all out, 40, right? 40. Well, okay, so the base bots cannot quite handle that. Cannot quite reach it all, I should say. So I can put another RoboPort here and there. You forgot. You had no idea what I was talking about, huh? I remember you'd said that you watched a show on Sundays with your mom, I think. So that was what I was talking about, yes. Okay, so rocket control units go across there. I'll split off here for the low density structures, and then we just need to deal with scrap copper. So to the right will be the low density structures, and then the scrap copper will go underneath that belt. Let's go. Oh, that's creepy right there, folks. That's creepy. I like that, but it's creepy still. Yeah. I mean, creepy good, you know, not bad or anything, but still creepy. Okay, you, and oops. Nope, that's not gonna work. There. And I'll have to move these up to make myself happy. There. Single belt. There. These coming in. There. Copper goes here. I do have copper smelting expansion going on here. I also do have iron ready to go. I just haven't turned them on yet. I wanted to wait and see what these scrap bus was going to do. Make sure that I could handle it. Okay, that goes copper. Ooh, we need to embiggen this bit. Right there. The edge of the RoboPort array. I'm going to end up turning that scrap belt and moving it over a little bit because it's going to be a little too tight up against this plastic and steel. Okay, steel goes here. Then it needs to go under that. Plastic like that. This could really just be yellow belts. Not that it matters, I suppose. But it's fine. Yeah, that's a good combination of colors there, or of materials. Okay, I need to figure out where we're going to put this. I don't know whether that was fully intended or not by the devs, but that is a good combination there. Scrap, 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 scrap. Would be a better lateral position to put this in. And then this will be iron, or copper. Look, how long did I claim that I was going to go tonight? Now, just an extra half an hour. Yeah, I think that's going to feel about right here, based on my event that I set up. Where am I going? This is just copper, not something crazy. On Twitch, I set up an event for each of these episodes, and the one for this episode, I set up a little bit extra time because I have a little bit of extra time tonight. I don't have to get to work tomorrow, so that's convenient. Well, the base bots are a little mad at me, but that's fine. So I usually will do the rocket fuel near the oil. The sort of choice is I need either, it doesn't really matter, really horribly matter. I need either 1.5 rocket fuel per second or 15 solid fuel. They're really producing that much? Or I think this calculator's thrown off a little bit by, yeah, it's only producing 30%. I think it's thrown off a little bit by the percentages. I wonder if the matrix sulfur would do anything with that. No, it doesn't. Yeah, that should only say 30% of 1.5, which is 0.45, not 7.5. That's interesting. All right, so what I want to do, so either I run a belt of solid fuel, or I run a belt with barely any rocket fuel in it. In the end, it really doesn't matter. It's an extra belt either way. An extra belt that I didn't really plan for well, but I guess I'll put it down, maybe down here on the third belt in the scrap bus. And I think I'll just do a belt of rocket fuel. But where do I want to set it up? That's the question. How are we handling all our fluids here? Good? Oh, we're handling power very poorly. Alright. Well, this will get paused here soon. Anyway. I need to expand power some more. I did expand power here. during that sort of break or whatever since yesterday's stream, but it's not enough. Each power array now requires more than one yellow belt, but not... No, hold on. Requires less than one yellow belt, but this whole array here cannot share one yellow belt anymore. So I'm feeding a red belt into each, but a red belt is actually probably a little bit is a little bit more than it needs, and I might be able to split actually 2 red belts into 3 arrays. So I could add a third array down here, probably, and do a 2 to 3 splitter at some point, and get these split off and shared. That's probably okay. I really want to get nuclear started at some point too, and perhaps out here, what's that, 21K? No, maybe down here would be a good place to do the nuclear processing. Just set it up here, set up the nuclear, excuse me, set up the nuclear plant out here, the nuclear power out here, and just call it, just do it. We have another 4.1 million over here for when this runs out, which will be this side of never. And holy cow, we have a lot of oil on this map. I went crazy with the oil. So, but right now we're not even using all of the crude. Yeah, we're not even using all the crude that we have here yet, so we're fine. So, I'm a little torn if I want to do how I want to do this. If I want to do the belt of salad fuel. Oh, I know what I can do. I can do a... So I need 0.75 for blue machines. So I need 1.25 solid fuel per second for blue science when we get up to 2.5, which is my goal. So that's 1.25 plus, that's crazy, plus 15, let's say minus, I don't know, plus 15 per second solid fuel for the rocket, which would be 25. So really all I need is one red belt of solid fuel for everything rocket based. I think I'm just going to do that. So let's run up to the oil base. We'll just run along here until we get to the science belt up here. And then we'll move us along a little bit faster. So let's run up to the oil base. I may need to expand some of the, well, actually, how much solid fuel creation do I need, or how much solid fuel from light oil do I need? Solid fuel from light oil to make 30, make one red belt of solid fuel. I need 60 machines, 60 chemical plants. I have not nearly that many. 32. So I need to almost double that array, which would be fine. Should be able to add some on. I want to upgrade these belts to red. Upgrade planner. You can go like this, this, and then just this belt. Whatever comes off of these others will just come off of these others. I'm not that worried about it. Okay, the base bots must be willing to handle that. So that's 32. I need 60. Let's see. 4, 8. I need all but 4. 32 plus 28. Yeah, I need all but 4. I don't know if the one single pipeline can handle each one of these. Wait, let's do this differently. Let's copy the whole thing. Almost the whole thing. And then I can overlay those two. Like that. Hopefully that does what I want it to do. Get that belt plan. Is this all in the... Nope, of course not. Of course not. Ooh, look, it connects to the one down there. Isn't that nice? View. One of you probably is fine. Alrighty. Once we get the base bots out here to work on this, that'll be much better. What was our filter condition on this? Nothing. I just put pumps there just to balance it. Right. Okay. So I want to upgrade all of this now. Full belt. And that'll give us plenty of solid fuel for our endeavors, and we can just do the rocket fuel making at the rocket. That'll be fine. I set up a little unloader here, a buffer chest. So any solid fuel that makes it into the logistics network will get dropped off here up to 400 or something. And then otherwise these inserters will pick up and keep the chest at a minimum of 200. And I just did that so that we had enough solid fuel for the train. The other thing I did was at the yellow science, we are making, we are making these low density structures, and I took them off the end to send to the mall when they're needed. I just took 100 off at a time, 15 each chest. And we're already starving out the copper. Yay! Alright, so I'll have to hook those other 2 belts of copper up. Oh, cool. With you're testing the construction site with the production scrap. Hopefully you're using creative mode or something. Yeah, I need to add 2 more belts of copper onto this stat. Well, this will get backed up pretty soon, and then it won't matter. But before I actually start using these components, definitely. What is on that belt? How did copper get on the coal belt? Oh no! There's copper on the coal belt. You need to go. Tiny little bit of copper on the end of that coal patch. Jerks. Alright, let's follow this. This goes up to... Gross. Probably a pile of copper on the end of this belt. At least if I were putting copper on this belt, I would put it on the end. Look at that mess. Okay. I think I can shift C that coal back into there. I like that even distribution mod. That's such a handy mod for clearing your bags out. Hey, look, I got a bunch of stone in my inventory too. I'm gonna have to expand oil again. We're just not making enough. We're not making enough to feed all the copper demand. Even though I doubled this and I quadrupled the plastic demand, and I quadrupled the copper. Now we don't have, and now that we're adding more fuel, we're gonna be making more fuel. That means less is getting cracked, which means more is getting. Yeah, more is gonna be, less is gonna be used for petroleum. Put a radar out here. Have any on me? Of course not. Request radars. Yep, sandbox infinity chests. Sounds like a plan to me. Awesome, thanks for checking that out, Peps. You can go out here someplace. Of course, I can't see it. Did I wait long enough for radars? Yes, I did. For some radars. I didn't really need the whole stack, but I will eventually, perhaps. Oh, you never have plenty of oil. When did I say I had plenty of oil? Did I say that? Oh, I have plenty of oil on the map. Yes, I do have plenty of oil on the map. It just means I need to go and get a hold of it. And somehow get it into the base elsewhere. Some other method that I haven't figured out how I want to do yet. Alright, so that's... Now we have a radar out there. Yeah, so these are, at this point, not doing anything. Because we're not using most of this solid fuel. But we will be. And then this plastic is going to be really mad at us. So I could do a couple things. I could train in, or perhaps just pipeline in like this patch, because it's pretty close, and do some more oil processing up here, north of the fluid bus, or the oil area here. That might be the easiest option. May need to add in some more cracking along the way. But I think that might be the easiest option, so maybe I'll do that in between the streams. Yeah, they need to be tankers, not cargoes. They're not going to be able to carry oil in those, very much oil in those without sloshing all over the place. You know how much cats like to get wet. I imagine even the getting wet from oil would be a problem. We have a problem with gray science here? Oh yeah, no stone. So that's our... So I have two tasks to do between the streams. One is to deal with the stone issue. And the other is to deal with the oil issue. But just to make oil even more mad at us, let's deal with the solid fuel, rocket fuel issue. Because why not make oil more mad at us? Okay, so we need... Not that. We need 60 machines making rocket fuel. Let's do 2 rows of 30. We'll have a belt coming in here. How much? Oh, this is hardly any, right? Yeah, 15 total. So this will actually be 2 yellow belts that won't be needed. Let's see, rocket fuel. And then what I plan on doing is actually taking this output belt, splitting it into a... Let me think about this a little bit. Splitting it again. This one will do output prior to the right, the rocket fuel. This one will split the solid fuel that's scrap in half and ship it back into these arrays. And with a priority on it. With a priority on it, input priority from the left. The idea there being that we might as well use the waste, or the scrap solid fuel to make more rocket fuel. Seems logical to me. Plus, it looks kind of like a smiley face. Like a cat smiley face. Like, you know. Yep, the Dawn soap commercials. Okay. This is overkill, but at this point, I don't really want to use yellow inserters. I don't like them. They just look slow. I mean, I get that they take less power and everything, but 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It's a 60. Oh, that's 20. All right, yeah. Okay. Holy cow. Could have done... Ah, this is fine. This is fine. Everybody knows how much I like trees. We're going to get rid of some trees. When did I put that there? Did I copy that from... I did copy that. Not put it there, though. Let's bring it up here where it's at max range. There's probably another one up here, too, then. Power pole. Go base, go. Alright, so we can hook this up while we're waiting for that thing. Not just sit here and stare at it. I mean, we do, but we don't. Oh boy. What have you gotten me into, Peps? Well, I don't think I'm going to make more than one rocket silo. The amount of science I need per second, I can handle with one rocket silo. So, I'm not gonna go crazy with the science on this one. Oops, that's... Have I done this again? I went too far again. Go too far. Let's do underground, underground. No, we need a red... Well, we don't need a red splitter there, but... Well, I guess we do. Alright. Well, my stretch goal for science for this base is only 2.5 per second. That's a stretch goal. So that's if I don't get tired of it first. And 2.5 space science per second is easily accomplished with one rocket silo, especially if it's beacon and moduled, which I plan on doing. Okay, go gadget solid fuel. So I should have done this slightly differently here, which is tempting me to rip this up. I'm going to. Stuff here, 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 and here. Put this down here. Butter. I'll put priority to the right. These guys. Pick up stuff on the belt. Nope. And then we'll put the rocket control, or that was rocket control units. We'll put the low density structures here. Put priority right, low density structures. And then rocket fuel right there. So that is all ready to go to the rocket mess that Peps is getting me into. Oh, I'm sure I will overthink it. Especially because I'm going to use it to surprise myself. I'm not going to look at it until we go into the next stream. So I'll be figuring out live, which I'm sure you'll be severely amused at. Put these guys up. I don't want it all in my pocket. That means that on Tuesday, you'll want to have insomnia that night. Well, depending on what I don't know what shift you're working these days, but so that you can stay up and watch me get tortured. Oh dear. Well, maybe I'll have a rocket silo assembly area to the west of the rocket silo and train in whatever I need for it. Since you're driving me crazy over here, Peps. Okay, so I have the 3 products I need for feeding the rocket. The only other thing that I don't have being made yet, that I probably should at some point, is tier 3 modules. If I look at sort of requirements for tier 3 modules, I'm just going to look at one of them. They all produce the same amount. We'll do yellow machine to this point. Let's say I just want, well, let's say I want 6. I want 2 of each per second. How much stuff? Yeah, that's way too much stuff. Holy cow, that's way more than I want. What, am I crazy? That's still way too much. Way too much. Let's do 0.3. 0.1 per sec. That's closer. Well, let's just do 1 array. So what I normally do for modules is I usually do 4, 2, 1. Fun. Peps is trying to kill me. So what I usually do is 4, 2, 1. It's not exactly 2 ratio, but it's pretty close. So if I divide that by 6, what is that? 0.017? Yeah, basically. That's kind of what I usually do as far as the module array goes. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll insert in modules to the module array just to get them going faster. So the the first bunch of speed modules go into the module array. And I can estimate that here and see how much, what my ratio is here pretty easily. So that takes it down to, let me multiply this by 10. 1, that about, numbers. I need even numbers here, people. Yeah, it's closer. Just for fun, I'm gonna make this way bigger than I'll ever make, just to make it be even numbers. Yeah, so it's 3 to 5 to 10. No. 2 to 5 to 10. Yeah, 2 to 5 to 10. Which I will probably simplify to be still 4 to 1. It won't be perfect, but it'll be close enough. Oh boy. Well, hopefully the stuff that I can take out of the construction site I can use elsewhere in the factory. Not total garbage. That would be nice. But we'll figure it out live on stream. Alright, so I think I'm still going to do... Well, of course that's still basically 4 to 2 to 1 because it's only speed modules. It's not productivity. So it's going to be the same... It's going to be the same ratio no matter what. And so that's what I'll do. I'll do some modules here. So these need... Each one of these arrays, which is still bigger than I normally do. Yeah, let's cut that in half one more time. What's that? 0625? Yeah. Each one of these gonna need basically a half a belt of red and green each, a little bit more than that of red, and then a little bit of blue, which is what I usually end up doing with these. So I will also set up, if I have time before Tuesday, I will also set up some arrays making tier 3 modules for speed and productivity. And then that'll help with the base also. Alright, so I think this is where I'm going to leave it. I appreciate you guys coming and chatting in the chat. I think we probably lost Roadster Tracker at some point. He probably had to go to sleep to get up for work. But I appreciate you guys sticking around and entertaining me and yourselves mostly, and especially Peps. And we'll see you again on Tuesday at the same time. I talked about it earlier in the Discord, in KOS's Discord, but I'm off work this week, so I might end up doing some bonus streams. I have another game in mind for streaming that I just haven't gotten totally started yet. But I do have that kind of ready to go now, so I can start working on it. So if I do end up doing some bonus streams, I'm hoping to do some perhaps during the European evening time, so that some of my European viewers have more comfortable time to see the streams and hopefully come in live. And if not, I might do an evening stream at the same time on one of my normal off days. So we'll see how that goes. But until next time, thanks for coming. Bye.